This week, the euro hit a 4-year low against the dollar. Greece received a first instalment of EU loans to help it deal with its unprecedented budgetary crisis. Portugal, Italy and Spain also announced new plans to help deal with their budget deficits. And here in the European Parliament, the EPP Group led a debate on increasing economic governance as the key to resolving the euro crisis.
Joseph Daul, the chairman of our group, reacted positively to the Council's decision to create a mechanism to support the euro and to the Commission decision to reinforce the surveillance of the Stability Pact. But he underlined the importance for Member States of understanding that solidarity matters.
Member States will have to get used to being irritated in times to come if they continue to manage their public finances as if they were living on a desert island, as if they were not linked to each other by a common currency and therefore by a necessary common discipline. And what is true of national budgets is also true of social and fiscal policy. Because, once again, I understand the fury of some of our compatriots, whom we are asking to make sacrifices to help others who work less and retire earlier. It can't go on.
Commissioner Olli Rehn said that it is better to prevent than to correct. He emphasized the importance of making the European mechanism set to defend the euro by helping member states in dire budgetary straits, so tough that no politician will want to use it.
We need to be very clear that to whoever is watching the euro area, we will never be defeated. To discourage anyone from even trying our vigor, we need a permanent and robust framework for crisis management for the euro area member states. The temporary mechanism established on the 10th of May is a bold first step to that direction. We must make the mechanism so unattractive that no leader or country is voluntarily tempted to resort to it.
Joseph Daul ended on an optimistic note, however, highlighting the positives for the future of the euro and the economic health of the EU.
I have survived some very serious and very deep crises. Let this crisis at least serve as a new beginning for Europe and its citizens.
Every day across the European Union, 10 people die waiting for organ transplants, and many patients have to wait years before a donor organ becomes available. This week, the European Parliament voted on a piece of legislation that should improve the situation.
The EU wants to increase the number of organs available for transplant throughout Europe by developing tough new standards on safety and quality. Many different transplant systems exist in the EU's member states, and often there's very little coordination between them. MEPs want that to change. They support a Commission proposal that, as well as focusing on quality and safety, wants to encourage a greater exchange of organs from deceased donors across the EU's 27 member states. The idea of an EU network of organ supply makes sense in a union where internal borders no longer exist. It also greatly increases the number of organs potentially available to transplant patients across the EU. But given that national governments have primary responsibility for healthcare, efforts to develop a European perspective on this issue have met with limited success until now. MEPs from our group have been instrumental in shaping the Commission's proposal. Miroslav Mikolášik from Slovakia is himself a doctor and the Parliament's rapporteur on this topic.
I know how necessary it is to help patients, those who await organs, because at this moment, as we speak, 60,000 Europeans need kidney or heart or lung or pancreas or liver. As a main rapporteur coming from new country, Slovakia, I am only happy that I could have matched together my colleague shadow rapporteurs from many different countries, from many different political denominations here in the Parliament. This is not about politics, this is about the citizens and about patients, basically.
Mr. Mikolášik's report was approved by a large majority of MEPs and gives new hope to the many thousands of patients in hospitals throughout the EU waiting for an organ transplant.
Social protection for working women has improved considerably over the decades, with paid maternity leave, for example. But although the number of people who work for themselves has increased steadily over the years, the same protection hasn't been extended to the self-employed or to assisting spouses. Astrid Lulling, veteran of the European Parliament and the EPP Group, has long been calling for equal treatment for the self-employed and the spouses who help them. This week, her efforts finally bore fruit.
Following lengthy negotiations with the Council of Ministers, MEPs adopted a new directive guided through Parliament by Luxembourg MEP Astrid Lulling on Tuesday. It requires member states to offer the same social protection open to the self-employed to their assisting spouses. It also gives self-employed women or women who assist their self-employed partners the right to maternity allowance. Once the new legislation comes into force, in all likelihood sometime in July, women who are self-employed or who work for self-employed partners will be entitled to an allowance that must be enough for a maternity leave period of at least 14 weeks. They will also have pension rights and have their contribution recognized if they subsequently divorce. Although the terms of the directive were watered down, Lulling emphasized that the new rules represented a major improvement on current conditions, of 0 weeks maternity leave in most member states, for example. Politics is the art of the possible, she said, and including these up to now invisible women in the social system will only increase participation rates and bring us closer to achieving Europe 2020 objectives.
You see, Madam President, I don't have enough time to explain everything I like in this directive, but you can see that we are still capable of passing directives that serve the interests of citizens, both in the social domain and that even manage to reduce distortions of competition in the single market.
That's all for this session, but we'll be back in mid-June with news of Parliament's next plenary session. To keep up to date in the meantime, visit our website, eppgroup.eu. Thanks for watching.